Hey guys, it's Larry. Elon Musk goes thermonuclear on Media Matters for America, and it's a beautiful sight to behold. Cardi B went thermonuclear on Biden and the Democrats, and it might leave a mark. And a disturbing story about a soldier being fined and disciplined because Biden decided to leave a bunch of equipment back in Afghanistan. I wish I were kidding about it. That's all coming up. We're live. I'm Larry O'Connor. Call me Larry. Let's go. A lot of you reached out to me on X.com and said, Larry, I hope you're going to explain this whole lawsuit with Media Matters for America. Who are these guys? And what's this lawsuit all about? And what is Elon Musk claiming? And yeah, we're going to explain it all. And I was all ready to give you a full breakdown on what this was. And then, I got to be honest, our pal Jesse Waters over at Fox News beat me to the punch, and I can't do it better than this. So let's watch together.
The second Elon Musk bought Twitter, the Democrats realized the next election couldn't be rigged. The FBI wouldn't be able to censor speech to help Biden win. Musk had to be taken out. This was a job for Media Matters. The left-wing media watchdog group put the hit out on Friday. Corporate ads on Twitter are running right next to Nazi content, Media Matters claimed. They put out screenshots of white supremacist videos next to ads for IBM, Apple, Oracle, Xfinity, Bravo, many others. These are Fortune 500 companies, many of them, and they panicked. IBM suspended advertising on Twitter. So did Apple, Disney, Comcast, Paramount. All those companies pulled ads. Media Matters then did a victory dance.
The platform is so saturated with extremism, with white genocide, with anti-Semitism, with racism, with conspiracy theories, things that otherwise should be managed in some way, that they can't actually protect the few brands that are still willing to remain on the platform.
But according to Musk, Media Matters made the story up. They created fake accounts, and these fake accounts followed Nazis. Then the fake accounts kept refreshing their pages until ads popped up. And then they took photos and claimed it was all organic. This is like paying people to dress up as Nazis, sending them to a company headquarters, taking pictures of them at company headquarters, and then saying, oh, your company loves Nazis. Elon Musk caught them red-handed and is now hitting them with what he described as a thermonuclear lawsuit to counter the, quote, fraudulent attack. Now, if Musk wins this lawsuit and bankrupts Media Matters, it would constitute an enormous victory for free speech and the conservative media. Primetime doesn't like when people lose their jobs, but in this case, we'll make an exception. Michael Schellenberger joins me now.
All right. So that's a great breakdown, and I want to expand on it just a little bit. First of all, you may be asking, who is Media Matters for America? And if you're just a normal sentient human being, it's understandable that you've never heard of these guys. It's a little bit of an inside baseball situation for those of us in the media, especially those of us in the right of center media. Media Matters for America was created in 2004 after the Bush-Kerry presidential election because, get this, the people who founded Media Matters for America thought that the media was too biased, too in the tank, too slanted on behalf of Republicans. I'm not joking. Media Matters for America was created because liberals thought that the media was too oriented toward conservatives and were biased against liberals. So now you understand the fantasy land that this entire thing was created under. And it was started with seed money and an umbrella organization started by John Podesta. That's right, that John Podesta, the guy who ran Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign and was a consigliere and advisor to the Clintons. And the money that started the whole thing came from, say it with me, George Soros. Media Matters for America has been on an open jihad against any right of center media outlet from the get-go. But it's not just right of center. Actually, anyone who doesn't agree with them, anyone who dares to challenge left-wing orthodox thought in this country is targeted. One of the first people they went after in their history, Media Matters for America, was Chris Matthews. That's right. Lifelong Democrat, left-wing Chris Matthews, because even he wasn't in the tank for Hillary Clinton enough. I'm not making this up. Go look it up yourself. They tried to silence, stop, and cancel Rush Limbaugh every day until his death, literally, and even beyond. They've tried to change Fox News and get it off the air, get it demonetized, get advertisers to pull their advertisements from Bill O'Reilly, from Tucker Carlson, from Sean Hannity for everything on Fox News Channel. In fact, a lot of observers who have seen a bit of a shift in the way Fox News goes about their business, a lot of people will say that's because of Media Matters for America. Media Matters for America has tried to silence talk radio, tried to silence websites like Town Hall and all the Town Hall sites, and they can be very effective in this kind of tactic that was laid out by Jesse Waters just now, trying to publicly shame advertisers to pull their financing, their ad purchases from websites or from media outlets that dare to actually give voice to a conservative perspective. Because one thing we've learned in America over the last 10 years, if you're conservative, that means by definition, you're a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, anti-trans, you're a violent MAGA fascist extremist terrorist. So of course, what company would want to associate with them? Well, they tried this trick on Elon Musk and on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. And as Jesse Waters just laid out there, they basically created a scenario. They fabricated a scenario, it appears, according to this lawsuit. They manufactured it. I mean, they found these so-called white supremacist Twitter accounts. They went ahead and created an account to specifically follow those accounts. So, of course, the algorithm at Twitter tells you that this account that you've just created that is overloaded following these types of accounts is the kind of content that you want as a user. So they keep funneling more and more content to you, and then they just refresh enough times until they can see an advertisement pop up. And then they screenshot it and they say, well, yeah, look at this. Your brand is associated with this content. Now, some people say it doesn't matter. If the content is there and the advertising is there, whether they created the scenario or not, it's still a problem for the company, and the company needs to do something about it. But let me ask you something. Would you say the same thing if the little trolls, those sad little trolls sitting in their cubicles over at Media Matters for America, if they had actually created the Nazi content themselves? Think that through. Let's add one more step to this entrapment fraudulent process. What if Media Matters for America, what if it was found that they actually created the Nazi content themselves, then put it out there, then found various moments when an advertiser is associated with it? Would you agree that that is fraud? And if so, how is what they've done here any different? It's absolute fraudulent behavior. And let me prove it to you. I think you all understand the world that we live in right now. And I think you all understand how people behave on social media. If an individual organically found an ad for Amazon or McDonald's or Verizon or any one of these companies, if they just organically saw an ad like that pop up against objectionable material on their own timeline, don't you think they would have screenshotted that and put it out there for the world to see? Don't you think that if this event, this occurrence that Media Matters for America has blasted across the airwaves to publicly shame and humiliate Elon Musk and Twitter and X and all of these advertisers, do you think if it ever actually happened organically and naturally in the real world, don't you think we would have known about it by now? Don't you think people would have seen it, caught it, and drew attention for it? But no, it's only the people at Media Matters for America who saw this scenario, and they can prove that they created this scenario. They meaning the lawyers for Elon Musk. That's incredibly powerful. Within hours of Elon Musk's civil suit that was put forth, we had two attorney generals in Missouri and in Texas also institute a statewide criminal investigation because fraud is a criminal act. Media Matters for America better lawyer up. And we better thank Elon Musk for this, because let me just be clear. I've been at this game going all the way back to 2009 when I worked with Andrew Breitbart, when we were only about 6 or 7 people working out of his basement. And I can tell you, even then, Media Matters for America was obsessed with anyone on the internet. This is before social media really took off. Anyone publishing or commenting on the internet that dared to oppose Barack Obama or the extreme left in the Democratic Party. And they went after everything that Andrew Breitbart did. They wanted him silenced. They wanted him destroyed. They wanted his websites destroyed. This is who they are. And the real irony here is that Media Matters is going to defend themselves in court, wrapping themselves in the First Amendment. They're going to wrap themselves up in free speech, free press, and freedom of journalism by claiming that they're a free press journalistic endeavor that has the protection of the First Amendment, which is, by the way, exactly what I and Andrew Breitbart and Fox News and Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck and every talk radio host and podcaster and cable news commentator from the right of center that they've tried to silence and destroy. That's exactly what we've been saying all these years. You may not like our opinion. You may not like what we have to say, but we're protected by the First Amendment and free speech. And now Media Matters is going to claim the exact same thing to weasel out of this lawsuit. See, but here's the difference. Media Matters is not a journalistic endeavor. They're an advocacy group. They're an activist group. They have one goal in mind, and that is to push their left-wing partisan ideology and silence anyone who opposes it. That's not protected under the guise of free press. And tactics to fraudulently disparage an individual and a company, that is definitely not protected under the auspices of the First Amendment. And that's exactly what Elon Musk is claiming here. And one other thing, one other reason why we have to thank Elon Musk for all of this. I guarantee you that any other CEO for any other company, for any other social media platform, even one that doesn't ideologically align themselves with Media Matters, every single one of them would be talked down off the ledge of a lawsuit. Their advisors, their lawyers, their board members, their investors, they would all say, listen, we know Media Matters is terrible. We know that you've been harmed. We know that it's wrong. We know that it's unjust. We know that it's fraud, but just let it go. Ignore it, because if you sue them, you'll draw more attention to it. And suddenly your name and the company's name will be in the same headlines with Nazis and anti-Semitism, and advertisers don't want to have anything to do with that. So if you sue them, you'll draw more attention to it and it'll make it bad. And you know what? That's probably good legal advice, but it's not right. It's not morally right. And Elon Musk, well, he has what the kids like to call FU money. He doesn't care. He can tell his advisors and his board members, no, this is wrong, and I'm going to fight for myself, I'm going to fight for my company, and I'm going to fight for the users who use my company. And I think he's the only one who can do that right now. And I don't always agree with Elon Musk, but this is a righteous cause, and he's doing the right thing, and we should applaud him and thank him for it. I sure hope he wins, don't you? Meanwhile, speaking of things that are somewhat objectionable on social media, you're about to hear Cardi B. And Cardi B is not objectionable in and of herself. She's actually quite entertaining and funny and actually pretty well read when it comes to politics and the economy. The problem is, well, she has a colorful vocabulary. So as she makes her case against the Biden administration, Democrats, and left-wing politics and economics in this country, just be forewarned, there's a lot of F-bombs thrown about, but it's pretty effective. Here she is.
Oh, yeah, outside, because usually I be having like 30,000 people by now, but I have 24,000.
Yeah, this is on Instagram, and she wanted to wait until she had about 30,000 watching, but we're going to just stick with, what is it, 26.2 thousand. Okay, Cardi.
I need y'all to spread this fucking video. I need y'all to spread this video, and if something happens to me, it's because I'm speaking truth. So God forbid something happens to me or my family or some shit, is because the niggas is after me because I'm speaking the truth.
Let me pause for a second here. I told you there was colorful language. Now, Cardi B and other people from the entertainment world or the pop culture world, they don't hesitate to say anything about Donald Trump or Republicans or conservatives or anyone right of center, right? God knows, we hear it all the time. And do you ever notice they never have to preface their commentary or their attacks on conservatives with, listen, I'm going to tell the truth here about these people. And if anything should happen to me, just know they're coming after me because I told the truth. See, they never have to do that, do they? But she's about to launch an attack on Joe Biden and the left and Democrats. And she's been in the past launched attacks on Hillary Clinton as well. And do you ever notice whenever someone in pop culture or entertainment comes out and they're about to attack somebody on the left who's in power, they always preface it with, listen, if anything happens to me, just so you know, I'm not suicidal, right? What is that all about? That tells you a lot, doesn't it? Before she actually goes after Biden and the Democrats, she has to preface it with, all right, if I get disappeared or something, you know why. All right, now I'm going to let her go for a bit.
And here's the truth, right? In New York, there is a 120 million budget cut. There's a 120 million budget cut in New York that is going to affect schools, public libraries, and the police department. Y'all know I don't give a fuck about the cops, but like it is what it is. There's gonna be an $120 million budget cut with schools, with the libraries, and the cops and the police department, and a $5 million budget cut in sanitation. Of a budget cut in sanitation, bitch, we're gonna be drowning with rats. We're going to be drowning in fucking rats. So we are going to be having a budget cut on these shits, mind you. And this is why I said this is what I'm telling y'all, I'm not this year. Don't fucking ask me. I don't give a fuck the resume that they send. I don't give a fuck. I'm not endorsing no fucking presidents no more. Because how is there a $100 million budget cut in New York City for fucking schools, library, police safety, and sanitation? Yeah, Joe Biden's talking about like, yeah, we could fund 2 wars. We could fund 2 wars. Motherfuckers talking about we don't got it, but we got it. Like we're the greatest nation. No, the fuck we're not. We're going through some shit right now. Like say it. We really going through. We really are fucked right now. $120 million. Like where these kids are gonna go? Like I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I'm whatever the fuck. But like what's gonna happen to my nieces? What's gonna happen to my nephews? What's gonna happen to my cousins, my aunts, my friends? That's living in the hood. Fuck the hood. Like my shit. Like I don't give a fuck if I live in Jersey, bitch. I'm from the Bronx. I don't want to see my shit affected. The Bronx, Brooklyn, it's gonna affect the whole New York. 120 million budget cut on schools, libraries, police department, and sanitation. Bitch, New York is already fucking super dirty. Like, yo, you know what's embarrassing? Like, it's like, you know, like I know people from California, I know people from Atlanta, so I always be like, yeah, New York is the greatest place in the world. Yeah, they be like, New York is dirty, and it is dirty, and we're gonna get even dirtier with the fucking budget cut. And yeah, we talking about we could fund 2 wars. That's like a nigga trying to front like, yeah, I got the money to support 2 bitches, but you really don't.
I mean, that's not exactly the analogy that I would come up with, but I take her point. Listen, you and I probably don't agree with Cardi B on a whole lot. That doesn't matter. You can see her putting the pieces together in her head as she speaks. She's getting it. I mean, this is the beginning of getting red-pilled. You know, for everybody in the media right now who are their hair's on fire and they're saying, how is it that Joe Biden is losing to Donald Trump in the polls right now? I mean, with all of the indictments and all of the court cases and all the criminal charges, he's a felon and he's still beating Joe Biden. How? It's the same people who the morning after the election in 2016 said, how did this happen? This is how it happens. This is how it happens. I remember going on the radio the morning after Donald Trump won the election in 2016, and the first words out of my mouth, I said that morning, I said, now do you understand how angry we are? Now do you get it? Do you hear us? And of course, they didn't hear us. They ignored us. In fact, they called us names. They silenced us. They pretended the election wasn't fair and square and it wasn't legit. They did the same thing in 2020. Here we are now, and this is exactly where we were before. You want to know how Donald Trump wins the White House? Go watch Cardi B. I mean, you know, bleep out portions of it. We thought about bleeping out that video, by the way, and we realized that it would basically be one long beep, and it would be, you know, too hard to. But I assure you, this leaves a mark. And you saw 30,000 watching it live. There's a lot of people out there who watch Cardi B who believe and think that there's only one way to vote in this country. And when they hear Cardi B talk like that about that one way to vote, I assure you it makes a difference. I return now to a soldier who took to TikTok, which, by the way, I have issues with. Why is somebody in the U.S. military on TikTok anyway? That should be against the rules. But the story this soldier tells is infuriating. You remember when we pulled out of Afghanistan, when Joe Biden engineered one of the most embarrassing, humiliating, deadly, and devastating withdrawals from a country that our military has ever executed. It was an absolute disaster. By the way, not one person was fired. And if you ask the Biden administration today, they'll actually claim it was a huge success. That's how warped these individuals are. With 13 service members murdered by a terrorist because we relied on the Taliban to provide security. But you'll remember another part of that pullout where we left billions and billions and billions of dollars of equipment behind, right? Well, listen to this soldier's story.
I want to share something with you guys today. I want to holler, I want to scream, I want to yell, but it won't do any good. Today is gear turn-in day for me. I turn in all the gear that I've collected over the last 4 years of being active duty with the Army, with the 82nd Airborne Division. 2 years ago, my unit deployed to Afghanistan for the Afghanistan withdrawal. We spent a few weeks over there. It was hectic. It was chaotic. It was disgusting. And it made me very disappointed in our government. Today, I'm reminded of how disappointed I am in our government. Go to turn in my gear. They want to charge me $500 to $1,000 for gear that I was ordered to leave in Afghanistan 2 years ago. Because as the last two birds were sitting on the tarmac, ready to leave, there wasn't any room for extra gear or extra weight. Therefore, we were told to leave it. Some lower enlisted dudes, including myself, were like, no, this stuff is expensive. I'm not leaving this. I'm going to get charged for this when it comes time to leave. Don't worry. We're going to catch you on the back end. We'll flipple it. No. It's time to get out of the Army, and they want to charge you for that. Meanwhile, we can continue to give millions of dollars to the Taliban. We can give billions of dollars to Ukraine. We can give billions of dollars to student debt relief. We can give a bunch of stupid stimulus checks. We can cut those to the American people. But we can't cover $500 to $1,000 for a dude that left gear in Afghanistan, for a dude that left gear in a place that you put me to begin with. The government is so stinking backwards right now, man. This administration's last priority is the American people. And inside of the American people, their last priority is their soldiers, their Marines, their airmen, their Navy. It's so messed up, man. I thought today was going to be bittersweet getting out, but I'm just so happy to separate. I'm very, very excited to stop serving my government and just getting started serving my country. It's sad. Today is November 20th. This is the amount they want to hit me with leaving service, $3,561. I'm not asking for help, but if you wanted to help, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to swallow my pride for the sake of my family and post my Venmo in the comments. Thank you so much.
All right. So there you go. That's an unbelievable story. And the fact that this guy, and it's been vetted, by the way, there's a account on X called Stolen Valor. They look into issues that involve our military. And they said, I spoke to the soldier last night. He's adamant. They were told to leave some of his equipment behind. He's going to send me a CIF records. He also spoke with Representative Dan Crenshaw directly last night about it, and he's looking into it. And here is that exchange with Congressman Dan Crenshaw, who is a retired Navy SEAL, asking for more information about this. This is going to be resolved at some point. But the fact that it even happened in the first place tells you everything about the Biden administration, this Pentagon under General Milley and Lloyd Austin, where their priorities are. I wish this guy had just taken to TikTok and come out as a transgender drag queen and then told a story, and he would have gotten bonuses, right? Because that's where the priorities are right now with the leadership of our military. But I assure you, I have met too many young men and women who are enlisted and young officers who have just come into the military over the last several years. They're not buying into what the Pentagon is feeding. They roll their eyes. They push back on it as much as they can. But the only way this guy was able to speak publicly about the outrage that he's experiencing is because it was his last day wearing that uniform. We left billions and billions of dollars of equipment, lethal weapons in the hands of the Taliban that they're now selling to our enemies and to terrorist states as a policy. And this guy gets dinged with a $3,000 bill because he left some equipment behind during that chaotic pullout. Equipment that he says his chain of command said, don't worry about it. We got you covered. Absolute outrage. And we will follow up on it. Listen, it's a holiday. It's Thanksgiving week. We can't leave you on an outrage, right? So how about some good news? And believe it or not, some good news coming out of the White House, the Biden White House. In fact, coming out of the press office at the Biden White House. John Kirby manned the podium for much of the press conference yesterday. And I'll remind you, John Kirby, as much as he's a challenging individual and he's a political hack, he's also a retired admiral in the military. He used to be the spokesperson for the Pentagon. Then he went and worked for CNN and spent 4 years trashing Donald Trump. And as a reward, he was brought in as the spokesperson for the National Security Council. And he's been problematic to say the least. One wonders, where is the real John Kirby? Where is the man who joined the military, became a naval officer, and rose up the ranks to admiral? Where is this guy? Because he knows better. Well, that John Kirby, the John Kirby that knows better, he emerged for a brief moment yesterday.
Protesters here in D.C., in New York, across the country, they've settled on a nickname for the president. They've been calling him Genocide Joe. They wrote it on the gates. Do you have a response from the White House to that nickname that they've settled on?
We're not worried about nicknames and bumper stickers. I mean, it's First Amendment, free speech. The president's focused on, as he wrote in his op-ed, on making sure that we can continue to support Israel as they fight a terrible terrorist group, Hamas, and as we all work together to get humanitarian assistance in and get people out, including hostages. I said this the other day. Again, people can say what they want on the sidewalk, and we respect that. That's what the First Amendment's about. But this word genocide is getting thrown around in a pretty inappropriate way by lots of different folks. What Hamas wants, make no mistake about it, is genocide. They want to wipe Israel off the map. They've said so publicly, more than one occasion. In fact, just recently. And they've said that they're not going to stop. What happened on the 7th of October is going to happen again and again and again. And what happened on the 7th of October? Murder, slaughter of innocent people in their homes or at a music festival. That's genocidal intentions. Yes, there are too many civilian casualties in Gaza. Yes, the numbers are too high. Yes, too many families are grieving. And yes, we continue to urge the Israelis to be as careful and cautious as possible. That's not going to stop, from the president right on down. But Israel is not trying to wipe the Palestinian people off the map. Israel's not trying to wipe Gaza off the map. Israel's trying to defend itself against a genocidal terrorist threat. So if we're going to start using that word, fine, let's use it appropriately.
That was great. Seriously, like I said, good for John Kirby. We wanted to leave on a high note, and that was great. Finally, thank you. Couple of questions, though. Just a couple of questions. May I? A follow-up, Admiral Kirby? First of all, why did it take, 7 weeks now since October 7th? Why did it take this long to hear this kind of clear and concise, unequivocal language about what's really going on over in Israel right now? What's really going on with Gaza? I mean, we've heard, from that very podium, we've heard mushmouth, oh, the real concern here is the rising tide of anti-Muslim hate in America. And, we want to make sure that Israel doesn't infringe on any humanitarian rights and that they obey the international rules of law. Has anyone made a legitimate claim that they are violating any rules of law? They aren't. They're the only ones over there that are following the legitimate international standards for law. They're the ones who are following the Geneva Conventions, not Hamas. But all we hear from this White House is equivocation and rationalization for the terrorists. And if they do praise Israel or stand by Israel, it's always in the exact same breath of some sort of lip service to the terrorists. It's great to hear John Kirby say this in no uncertain terms. You want to use the word genocide, the only people engaging in genocide is Hamas. Period. I said this before on the show. You think Israel is interested in genocide? You think Israel wants to destroy the Palestinians? I assure you that for decades now, if Israel wanted to kill every Palestinian, they have the weapons to do it. They have the means to do it. If they wanted to bulldoze Gaza right now and not leave a living person left, they could do it. They don't. They won't. They haven't. And that should tell you something, because you know that Hamas would do it because they tell us they would do it every single day. And on October 7th, they showed us that they have the will to do it. So it's great to hear this from John Kirby. But two more follow-up questions, not just why did it take so long to hear something like this, but two other quick follow-ups. Number one, why can't Karine Jean-Pierre, the actual press secretary for the White House, why can't she say something like that? Why hasn't she said anything like that? And even more, why can't Joe Biden? Why can't the President of the United States say exactly what John Kirby just said? And why hasn't he? That is it for today. Thanks for watching us. If you're watching on tape delay, even though there's no actual tape involved, since this is a digital delivery system, but we call it tape delay. If you're watching us after the fact, please join us live sometime. Otherwise, share this video wherever you can, because we think it's pretty fun. We love all our regulars who are coming in every day to watch us. We really do treasure it. I appreciate all the support you're giving us. We're grateful for that. I say that because, well, it's Thanksgiving, and it's nice to point out what we're thankful for. So we appreciate it. Thanks for liking and sharing and subscribing and favoriting and all of the various little buttons you can push to boost us up. We appreciate it. And leaving comments too, by the way. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time.